on this computer. So we are recording too. So welcome to all of those, whether you're watching us live on Thursday, August 13th at 6 p.m., or if you're watching this at your leisure, just when you have some time to give to the March of Dimes. We appreciate it either way. We have lots of amazing friends who are here to help us to kick off our fall fundraising campaign. So we'll just stare at each other for a minute, and as soon as that 6 o'clock hits, we will start our the show will begin. The show must go on. How did they say it, girls? Something like that.
Something like that. Something like that.
Show must go on, break a leg.
Yes.
All of those good things.
You know it.
Makes me feel like someone's going to do a song or dance. So I hope that's someone else that's on here and not.
I should have
your
had
opening
music.
act.
I should have thought of that. Darn it.
Big group number.
A group number. It took me a second to realize what she said. Yeah, a group number. That'd be good, right? Maybe we should sing lullabies because it's like we're all about the babies. So some Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or
You go ahead and get started, Jamie. I'm
Okay.
sure everyone will join in.
I would. I'm not prepared for that.
I would get Griffey, my son, on here because he likes those TikTok dances, but the starlet already left for another
Prior
season.
commitment.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. We do have Stephanie Tierney on our Facebook Live monitoring our chat. Make sure you say hi to her so she doesn't feel lonely and sad that she's on there. And our chat function on our chat function on the Zoom is also up and rolling. So we have people monitoring the chat function there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. There's a new friend. Hello, friend. We're going to have lots of new friends today. All right, it is 6 o'clock on my clock. So I believe, Mrs. Welday, are you getting us kicked off here?
Yeah, happy to start.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. And as Jamie said, thank you so much for joining us. So I will introduce myself. I'm Beth Welday. I'm the Executive Director here at the March of Dimes in Southeast Michigan. And I truly am super excited to be here with you guys tonight. And like Jamie said, whether you're listening live or whether you're on a replay, we appreciate the time. We thank you for tuning in and are super excited again to be here with you. But before we dive in, we would like to think for one moment. Just take one moment and close your eyes with me. All right, do it. I've got all my special guests on the side at Zoom. I can see if your eyes are closed. Now think back. When was the last big event that you were at indoors where you had live music and delicious food and maybe some friends, maybe even some people you didn't know? All right. Was it chefs? Open your eyes. Go ahead, open your eyes. When I hope no one was driving during that period of time. So hopefully it was chefs that you were thinking of. And, you know, whether that was in our Ann Arbor area, in Port Huron, or Detroit, we hope that you had a great time last year when you were at our event. I wish that I was here today to have a big announcement about what our 2020 big event will look like. But I don't think it's a surprise to any of you guys. COVID is not allowing that to take place. So our Signature Chefs auction will have to look a little different this year. We will not be able to come together as one big group, but we will have fun, and I promise that. And so we have gotten creative. We are reimagining this event, and that's what we'd like to spend the next about 20 minutes talking to you about what that looks like. It's a new logo, a new look, a new location, like from your couch or your favorite chair, whatever that might be. But one thing hasn't changed, and that's our mission. So you're going to learn more about our mission work here in a minute. And if you're anything like me, I hope that you feel a great deal of pride when you hear this from Kara, because all of your hard work in the past and your past donations for all those supporters who are listening have really helped us to make an impact during a critical time in families' lives. And Kara's going to share that with all of us in a second. But before we go there, I want to introduce you to what I, maybe a little biased, but believe is pretty much the greatest team on earth. And so, as you guys can all imagine, we have known for a bit that we wouldn't come together in person. But what would that look like? Well, we've reimagined and then reimagined again, and then maybe again and again. And this team keeps making it happen. And so I'd like to take a minute to recognize, to the right of me on this roll call sheet is my friend and our Associate Executive Director, Jamie Mitchell. And then right under Jamie is Senior Development Manager, Enna Whitted. Enna is about all things chefs. Her and I talked today about all of her visits to all of the chefs in the area. And then on the bottom there is our friend Stephanie Tierney. Stephanie is, we like to call her our wizard. So she's the, behind the screen here making everything happen and does so much for all of us. And I know lots of you great volunteers love Stephanie too. And then our last but not least is our maternal infant health coordinator, director, I should say, director, Kara Hamilton McGraw. And Kara's going to jump right in right now and take it away and share a little bit about the great work that we're doing that you help make possible. So take it away, Kara.
Thank you, Beth. And I remembered to take myself off mute. So give myself a little pat for that. But thanks, Beth. Oh my goodness, my dogs. I'm so sorry. I do remember those days where we were all together and there was good food and volunteers. I do remember those fondly. And I continue to love and will our traditional event. We had medical honorees and ambassador families up on the stage. But as you said, we had to pivot, Beth. We had to pivot this year and become more flexible than ever. And I'm really very proud to work for an organization like the March of Dimes. This past 6 months, we have been some of the most trying times ever, not only just for the March of Dimes as we continue our fight for the health of all moms and babies, but for everyone, right? It's hard. It's a lot of together time with your family. But in the early days of COVID, when we were on full lockdown mode, the March of Dimes staff pivoted quickly to begin ensuring that our local NICU nurses and healthcare workers and providers were fed and happy as the best we could. So we collaborated with some of our longtime partners, like the Make Your Date program with Dr. Hassan, Dr. Sonia Hassan, on the COVID response team for Moms in Need in the Detroit area. We also worked with some past partners with chefs at Water Brewery to provide some hand sanitizer. Sorry about that. Some hand sanitizer to the Detroit Medical Center staff who were working on the COVID testing sites. And we were able to provide approximately 650 meals to many area hospitals and clinics. So very proud of that and our partners as well for pitching in. In addition to these local activities, we've been able to virtualize many of our traditional programs to meet the needs of women who have higher risk, especially in times of COVID. For example, we have a virtual supportive pregnancy care program, and that program is a virtual support group for women to learn more, to get more education about pregnancy, and to have some camaraderie, meet faces of folks that are where they are in their pregnancy, and then a virtual NICU family support program so that we can support families as they work through their toughest moments. You can find out more about these programs and other programs on our website at marchofdimes.org. But lastly, I'll leave you with this. The world that we are living now is not only going through a pandemic, but also a culture shift that is virtually and vitally important. Most likely, Governor Whitmer recently declared that all healthcare professionals participate in an implicit bias training. And March of Dimes is on the forefront of this as we've developed an implicit bias training for maternity health care providers. And we've been talking about this for months now. I know I've been talking about it for months now, and my staff and partners are probably quite sick of hearing from me on it. But I've been talking about this for a reason. It's a great training, and I think that we can all learn from it. If you're interested in learning more, please let me know. I'm happy to share a demo to you or your partners about the training. And just take a look at what your donor dollars are doing and how you're working in the community with your generous gifts. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will monitor them, as well as our great wizard, Stephanie, throughout the rest of our kickoff tonight. I would now like to introduce you to a very special volunteer who's been working on this event for a few years now, and her energy is infectious. She is so generous and just full of energy and a very, very kind spirit. So right now I'd like to introduce you to Moving the Mitten Real Estate Group, founder, CEO, a large wizard of real estate, Therese Antonelli. I feel like I should give you a better introduction, Therese, because there's really no words.
Well, thank you so much, Kara. I'm happy to be joining all of you this evening to talk about and share about this great event. And I just want to start by welcoming you all. We have folks joining us tonight from Port Huron to Detroit, Farmington Hills, Canton, Ann Arbor, and beyond. And we just want to thank you all so much for joining us. As Kara mentioned, please feel free to utilize the chat function. We have the March of Dimes staff standing by to answer any and all of your questions this evening as we unveil 2020's event. Be sure to introduce yourself and please do tell us where you're watching from. That'll be exciting. So these unprecedented times that we're living through right now have resulted in so many uncomfortable, stressful, and even scary situations for all of us, but especially for those who are pregnant and who have newborns in the NICU. We can pause many things in our lives, but pregnancy does not have a pause button. And those moms and babies, they need us. You'll have a chance to hear from one of those moms later this evening, so please stay tuned. However, before we go any further, let's just take a moment to say thank you to some of our wonderful and generous sponsors who have already signed on for this new virtual event. Level One Bank, Arbor Investment Management, Bank of Ann Arbor, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, McLaren Port Huron, Dickinson Wright, and Bodman. Thank you all so much, and please know that your generosity and continued support of this event and this organization is appreciated. Although I'd love to be in a fancy dress sampling delicious foods from dozens of local chefs like we have in years past, we had to pivot, just as most of the world has had to do. Beth, why don't you take a moment and explain to us all what this new virtual event will look like in 2020?
Thank you, Therese. Yeah, as you said, we are excited about this virtual event and the combination of our 3 chefs that we've had in the past all coming together for one giant event. So as Therese said, you have people from Port Huron, Ann Arbor, Detroit, all throughout Southeast Michigan. Hopefully here on our Zoom, I see different faces from all over, and I know on our Facebook as well. And so one of the things you might be thinking is, well, why not just my event, or why not my event? And there's a couple of different reasons. The first being, we want this to be a stellar experience for you. Even though it's virtual, we want it to be amazing. And a part of how we do that is by combining all of our resources to make it one giant, amazing event. And it's going to include all of you. So I've been to each of those events and I've met so many of you, and how great will it be when we're all together in one area? So we have the ability to this year, let's do it. Let's do it together as one great big team. Another reason why we want to do it is because we have sponsors who may not have gotten some of their traditional benefits, right? They can't come together and network maybe as they have before, but we want to make this a great experience for all of those people who are still supporting the March of Dimes in this important mission. And so when we come together, we have a greater audience, and maybe you'll see somebody who supports us from Port Huron that maybe you never knew about. in the past, or you live in Detroit and now you see somebody in Ann Arbor, and you can help to support those sponsors who support this mission that you care about. And so it gives us another opportunity to share those sponsors a little bit more widely. And then finally, Teresa's going to tell you a little bit more in a minute about how we're going to incorporate that fine dining experience. But the last reason why we're all kind of pulling together is because how great will it be when we can experience cuisine, that top-notch cuisine that we know every year at our own chef's event. We're going to experience it from throughout the area. And so stay tuned for a little, that was just a little teaser. Teresa's going to tell you a little bit more. But we're working on one big digital event, and we partnered with M1 Studios in Ferndale. Matthew is just an incredible guy, and he's helping us to realize how we can take this experience and bring it to you in your home. It's going to be about a 45-minute online program. So we recognize that our attention span's just a little shorter when we're sitting in front of this computer. So we'll make sure that that's a fun-filled 45 minutes. We'll have ambassador families like you're traditionally used to hearing from, so you can hear why this mission matters to so many people. We're going to have highlights from some of the best chefs in town. And our MC for the evening, it's big. Don't worry, it's not me. It's going to be Roop Raj. So we're really bringing out the big guns for this one. So Roop will be our MC that day. And so we're super excited again. And we hope that you're going to mark your calendars and join us on October 8th, as you see it right there. And so, as I mentioned before, in addition to the online event, we're also going to have this passport program. So Therese, do you mind sharing a little bit more about the passport program and some of the other fun things that we can find at this event?
Absolutely, Beth. Thanks so much. So I am really excited about the program this year. We all know that during this pandemic, the restaurant industry was one of the hardest hit. So we put our minds together and we decided that this year we're going to do everything we can to not only give back to the babies, but also give back to the restaurant industry. So we're working with chefs from everywhere, Port Huron, Ann Arbor, everywhere in between. And we're making this passport a great deal, loaded with specials from some of the area's top restaurants. These passports will be on sale, and you will be able to support the March of Dimes and their vitally important work for only $100. Lots more details to come on this program, but you can expect to see things like free appetizers, free desserts, a percentage off your bill, and even some buy one, get one free deals. And wait, did I mention the online auction? Yep, we are working on a great auction that includes experiences and delicious meals from our local restaurants. While we may not have tickets to concerts and sporting events this year, we will have some other great items that we hope you'll find interesting. Our auction will go live at the beginning of October, so please make sure you stay tuned. You will see things like packages for your own personal estate planning sessions, financial planning, interior design, tickets to our top golf event, and even a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So we've covered our passport program and our online auction. We'll be working very hard to ensure that all of our sponsors receive lots of recognition through a robust social media campaign. And we have a few other surprises to come, but we wanted to share one more thing with all of you tonight. It's a new element that we've added, our Healthcare Hero Award. With everything that has just happened in our community and the world this year, we've had to rely on some very special and hardworking healthcare workers. These folks who have been on the front lines dealing with COVID-19 in a way that most of us have not had to, and for that we are so grateful. Our Healthcare Hero Award will be given to one frontline healthcare provider who has gone above and beyond for the moms and the babies. With everything that has been put on pause during this pandemic, pregnancy and childbirth is one thing that cannot be paused. And that is why we are pushing through with this event and trying to make the best of a not so great situation. We now have a few special guests with us to share what it has been like going through this pandemic as a frontline healthcare worker in the NICU at Henry Ford Hospital. Please join me in welcoming a longtime friend to the March of Dimes, Sharon Saluski.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I've been an NICU nurse for about 18 years, and I think like everyone, you know, none of us have experienced anything like this before. You know, the best I can describe it is it was just a very scary experience in the beginning. I think for all of us, any nurse or healthcare worker in the hospital, not really knowing what we were dealing with this whole disease. And so, there were just all the, kind of changes and policy changes just because we didn't know much about this disease. And so, I think everyone worked through it and we worked really hard, but we were just really in an uncertain time. And I guess, I'd come home the first few weeks and I just remember I'd sit down with my husband, I just get really teary and I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. I just am because, I was worried I was going to bring something home to my family. And we had a lot of people on our unit who had just had babies. We had a baby boom. And my heart was with them who they were going home. They had these, small babies at home themselves, besides the ones on our unit who we were very protective of. They had their own babies at home or someone was pregnant or sick family members. And so it was very hard to not only protect our babies and these moms, but also, we worried now, like, is there some way we are going to, get this and take this home to our families? And so I just remember being very emotional. And it took a while to really, kind of bring it back. And, the more informed we got, we were able to be a little more, at ease with things. It took a little bit of time, but, we got there. And so things just, the way our unit looked changed. We all got our masks and, that became, second nature. And I just remember at first we were like, what, we have to what, and now it's second nature to us. But, things like visitation. So people used to come and visit with, 2 at a time. And now we could just have one parent, you weren't allowed to bring, an aunt or an uncle or a cousin. It could only be one parent at a time. And so that changed the dynamics of visitation and perhaps having a support person there when you're coming to visit your baby who's sick, it's just you. And so when things were changing and there were updates on the baby, parent was just dealing with it by themselves. And that was something I think that was hard for them. And of course we're as supportive as we can be, but, it's just different than having your family there with you. And that was a difficult thing for them. A lot of our teaching changed. We would do all that with mom and dad together, or mom and whoever the support person was. And so, we had to get rid of some of our classes that we're actually going to begin to start introducing again. But, just how we taught and how we went about doing that. And our parents were amazing in allowing us to make those changes. I think everyone understood, but, it was definitely a change of pace and what they were used to. And I thought, they did a really nice job. But the other thing I felt like is that with the families and then even with my coworkers, these were the only people we saw outside the hospital. I mean, we couldn't go to the stores, we couldn't go out anywhere. So, seeing my coworkers, I said, it was my second family. It's like, I see you guys all the time. Like, these are my people, and the same thing with these families and babies. Those were the people that I got to see outside of. And when you constantly take care of those same family members or that same patient, those were the only people you saw outside of your home for those, for that month or so. And you just become very attached. And we do that anyway, but it just was that much more. And I think we saw a lot of families grow, a lot of parents grow in the process. And it was really nice to see from that perspective how much growth a lot of them had. And then it was really nice, as you said, we had so many people that were so thankful to us during this whole time. And, March of Dimes provided us with some food. I mean, there was, lunch today is on this person. And, we had lunch and treats and, baked goods and things like this. And, I might not have been gaining weight at home, but people were bringing in food constantly. So people were just so generous and really made us feel like that we were appreciated. And I was so thankful. And it was just a really, like I said, for being such a hard time, I think that I really realized how blessed we were to be on this unit with the people that I was.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thanks for sharing that experience with us. We appreciate it. I think now we have another very special guest. Beth, do you want to introduce our new friend Tasia?
I do. So joining us, Tasia is actually traveling back to Pennsylvania. So she's off screen right now, but she's going to share a little bit about her story. And Sharon and Tasia know each other well. And you can see right here, little Austin. So Tasia, if you want to just come on off mute and tell us a little bit about your story and how COVID and the March of Dimes and all of this came together for you.
Yes, hello everyone. Again, my name is Tasia, and well, I found out that I was pregnant with Austin in September of last year, and then during the 5th month of my pregnancy, I went to get an anatomy ultrasound where I found out Austin was a boy, but at the time we also had found out that I had a short cervix. So we were all very happy that I was having a son, but we were now preparing for anything to happen because I could go into early labor or I could miscarry. So those were some of the fears in the beginning of my pregnancy. 2 weeks after I found out Austin was a boy, I went to work for a regular day of work, an 8-hour shift, and I came home, and that night I was being rushed to the Henry Ford Hospital in West Bloomfield, where I had Austin that night, January 27th. He was born at 11:07 p.m. Austin was born at 22 weeks. He was 1 pound and 5 ounces. That night, when I first seen Austin, he was as red as a hot tamale pepper. Like his skin was see-through, his fingers and his feet were still webbed. And he was attached to a ventilator. He was literally in like a Ziploc bag, if that's how I can describe it. So to see a 1 pound baby in an incubator, it was like, it took my breath away. It was something to behold. So as we continued our journey, he was transported to Henry Ford, Maine, where I was greeted by a lovely team of neonatal specialists at Henry Ford, where I also met Sharon, the nurse that was support for me while my parents and my whole family that was support couldn't be there. Sharon was there for me. I mean, to tell you guys, she helped me give Austin his first bath. She helped me feed him. She helped him get off of his oxygen. She was there for all of the monumental things where I couldn't have support from my parents. Because before COVID, because he was born in January, I was able to see him with my family and they were able to come down. But after COVID we had to wear masks, and Austin was still going through like surgeries. We were trying to get his weight together. It was just a very traumatic experience, but with the support from the neonatal team, and I forgot to mention, the neonatal pediatrician that delivered Austin luckily was on call at Henry Ford, Maine hospital for the next 3 weeks that Austin would be staying there. Austin altogether was in the hospital for 118 days. While at his stay at Henry Ford, he had heart surgery, eye surgery. He was on the ventilator. He had managed to be on CPAP. And then luckily, Austin was able to leave the hospital with no tubes, no feeding tube, no breathing tube. He was just growing so healthy. And that was only with the help of March of Dimes, from Sharon, and the support of my family. Premature birth is like something that you could never imagine of experiencing. But when you see your child in the NICU, in an incubator, all you can do is literally keep going for them. You have to fight with them. I knew that every day that Austin would be waiting on me. And out of the 118 days, I think I probably only missed 1 or 2 days. That's how I just literally had to keep moving. And COVID, when it first started and set in, it was like really hard trying to manage to get into the hospital on top of having to go inside to see your child in the predicament that he was in. But luckily now, Austin is 17 pounds. 17 pounds. And I'm gonna flip the camera so you guys can see him. He is sleeping, but this is Austin. And he was a baby that was 1 pound and 5 ounces. He has made a great transition. And I just want to thank everyone. I'm so thankful to the research that you guys put in place so that my child could be brought to where he is now. I thank you.
Tasia, this is Jody Clayton. I'm still a big supporter of the March of Dimes and have been for years. Thanks for sharing it. I realize you probably can't see my chat, but what an amazing story. When you said 22 weeks, I have twins that were born at 33 weeks, but I had a whole series of issues with them. And that was at 15 years ago. 22 weeks wasn't quite considered viable. So congrats.
Yeah.
I can feel the smile on your face when you tell your story. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody, and thank you, Tasia. I don't know about you guys, but I have goosebumps all over my body just hearing that story. And I realize, like, I'm still on camera when she's showing us the picture of Austin, but I'm like leaning in, I've leaned up, and he's just a doll. I love it. So yeah, that's just a glimpse. That's just a small part of her story. Tasia just wants to share a little piece of it, but she will, we'll hear more about it on October 8th when we come together. And Sharon, thank you so much for all you do. You take care of those little babies. Before we came on, Sharon said, I just had to deliver a preemie. I'm really glad I could make it. So you really, truly are a hero to all of us. And we just want to say thank you for what you do every day. Thank you for supporting the March of Dimes, and thanks for, on behalf of moms and babies everywhere, you are a hero for us all. So thank you. And then Therese, thanks for bringing your energy, your passion. Thanks for your you've been a volunteer with us for such a long time. And, we can feel how excited you are about it all. So thanks for joining us tonight and taking a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
And so for all of you guys, thank you for watching, for getting excited with us. Just know that, we're going to prepare lots of fun activities, and we know that it won't exactly be the event that we all, dream about and closed our eyes and thought about last year, but that day will come, and until that day, we're going to have a great time together and raise lots of money for little ones like Austin and those who need us. And Jody, thanks for sharing that, because our 22-weeker is now 17 pounds, so and doing good. So we're doing some great things with your guys' support, and we couldn't thank you enough. So as we say goodbye, I ask you to grab your phone and even just stick a little meeting reminder in your phone for yourself right now. We're all really busy people, but join us on October 8th, and look for our March of Dimes Michigan Facebook page. We'll keep advertising, sharing some stories, and we would love to highlight some of the amazing people who help make this possible. So thank you to everyone again. We appreciate you all. Take care, have a great night, and we'll see you all on October 8th. Bye-bye.